The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by HotMovies.com. Try out some ethical, paid-for porn for free with none of those hidden fees or secret subscriptions when you sign up at HotMovies.com and use the promo code MANWHORE. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Bend the knee to all the Stark sluts, Dornish dames, and Bolton bitches. This is Billy Procida, and you're listening to the Man Whore Podcast. I don't know, for me, Gendry is my one true king, but, you know, we can debate about that later. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Before I get to this week's episode, I want to start with just a little something here, and I just want to preface with, this is not a rant that you have to skip super far into. This is more of an update about what's going on in case you like to willfully ignore the news. As of a week or two ago, transgender people can no longer serve in our military. Okay. This week, the Supreme Court announced that they will be hearing 3 cases in their next term to determine essentially whether or not businesses can discriminate against queer people in hiring practices. In 2019, yes, in 2019, we're still determining whether or not you can fire somebody for being gay because 26 states in this union do not have full protections for LGBTQ people. I just want to remind you that you do not get to say you care about queer people, that you're an ally to queer people, or that queer rights are a very important issue for you if you vote Republican. Full stop. Don't get to, okay? I'm just tired of hearing from people who claim to care about queer people, but vote in people who don't. So just a friendly reminder, because there is an email I'm going to be reading, from one of those people who claims that it's a very important thing to them, but I guess not important enough. That's my nice little segue into...
Get them hot. Get them dates. Show dates.
All right, Brooklyn, April 29th, I'm going to be at Pete's Candy Store at 6 p.m. That's one of those fun, free comedy shows. Come on out, see me tell the yucks. And now I've got some very fun news. Oakland, yes, Oakland, California, June 1st, you're getting your Man Whore Podcast live show. It's official. It's in the books. You can get tickets now. We're going to be doing a live show family style at the Octopus Literary Salon at 7:30 p.m. on June 1st. If you want tickets to that, go to manwhorepod.com/tour. Tickets will be $20 online, $25 at the door. We do have limited seating because it is a smaller venue, so you will want to get your tickets ASAP. I know I said family style, and if your ears perked up at that, I will explain in a future episode. But for now, know that we've got an Oakland show on June 1st, and it's going to be dope. You know what else is going to be sick? Or dope, whichever your preferred gnarly nomenclature is. August 2nd through August 4th, we got ManWhoreCon, everybody. I know I skipped over the Chicago live show. It's going to be in June. We're getting you a date shortly. But for now, let me tell you a bit more about ManWhoreCon. Yes, ManWhoreCon is a weekend for the fan whores here in New York City. And I want to announce another event for the itinerary, give you some more ideas of what we're going to be up to, because I've already announced there's going to be a Man Whore Podcast live show. We're going to have an exclusive after party. And there's going to be a roast of Billy Procida, which is basically what this podcast is, but we're going to do it in a more official format. So you're not going to want to miss ManWhoreCon, and you're not going to want to miss hanging out, not just with me, but with your fellow fan whores, like-minded, sex-positive people from around the country, from around the world. We got some lady coming in from Norway. So if you want to join us in New York City this August, go to manwhorepod.com/weekend. All right. Hey, did you know I got Instagram? Yes, I am back on the gram. Begrudgingly, mostly because there weren't any good Instagram handles left because the Billy Procida was disabled. Official Billy Procida is my father, and at Billy Procida is some twat who is squatting on it and doing nothing with the handle. So that's annoying. But Billy is back on Instagram. So go follow me at Billy is Procida. Wanted to get to a couple of your messages. I got this one really sweet, nice message from, I'm just going to say his name is Jesse. He is a fellow stand-up comedian. I don't see him often, so we're not buddy, but we've seen each other a couple times here and there. And he, out of the blue, messaged me saying, "You've now interviewed several porn stars I've masturbated to, and I'm so oddly impressed. I love what you're doing, what you represent, and have loved watching you grow. Keep kicking ass." Well, that was just super nice and kind and filled me up with all the warm bubblies. Thank you, Jesse. I've got plenty more porn people you've probably jerked it to coming up this year. We have quite a few AVN episodes still to release. Fuck it. Next week, we got Mia Isabella. If you're into her, be excited for next week. You know what I mean? What I'm not as excited for is this next email because it enraged me. Not just with its content, but with how belated this email was sent, because I put out the call for this type of person back in October of 2016. So he's a little late, but he writes, "Dear Billy, you asked Trump lovers to write, so I have. Sorry it took me so long. I can't begin to tell you how pleased I am with how Donald Trump is presiding over the United States of America. I absolutely love most of the policies he has implemented. He is a person of action." Action is in all caps. Action, and isn't beholden to anyone, except maybe Russia. Who knows? We can't see his tax return, so, we actually don't know who he's beholden to. We've needed that for decades. This is evidenced by him regularly. Honestly, I really want to read. If anyone here listens to Pod Save America, I want to read this email, but as a panel where we play OK Stop. But sadly, it's just me alone in my room at 12 in the morning. This is evidenced by him regularly pissing off both sides. He is an excellent negotiator, and this is very evident in what he's doing with international trade. The U.S. population makes up about 4% of global population, but 20% of all global economic activity. We're the biggest consumer per capita in the world. Even though we're the customer, China and other manufacturing bases have always treated us terribly. They've exploited us. Their goods come to our market without penalty, but our goods are taxed through import tariffs on their side and can't be sold competitively in their markets. It's unfair, and Trump stood up to them, the world. He basically told them, if you tax our goods, we will tax yours. And all around the globe, they are backing down. They're opening their markets to our goods. And worst case scenario, if they don't back down, then entrepreneurs here in America will begin to manufacture the items that are too expensive to import from China. Win-win. His domestic policies have reinvigorated the economy, and he has slashed the bureaucratic burden for all businesses, enabling us to make a living without costly and wasteful regulation. Unless you're queer, then in most of the country, you can still be fired just for being queer. He didn't write that part. I just wanted to remind you guys. Okay. I do have to admit his wall idea is terrible. I see it only as a metaphor for what is actually needed: common sense immigration reform. Except Donald Trump does not see it as a metaphor. He sees it as a literal wall. But you want to talk about the man, Donald Trump, the pussy grabber, the gender definer. He's old. He's from a bygone generation, even though there are Democratic candidates who seem to, for some reason, be able to get on board with this whole queer rights thing. Hi, Elizabeth Warren. Okay. He's from a bygone generation. Mad Men, if you will, and I don't care for the antiquated attitude. To be fair, he's never claimed to be diplomatic. He's not a politician. Well, we both agree on that one. But still, I do not like it. I don't support misogyny or hate of any group, even though you voted for a man who does such things. It's ridiculous. Every single person should have the inalienable right to pursue happiness. Wait. We do. They do. It's our right, and no law, no opinion, no corruption. No person can take that away. Again, unless you're queer in 26 states in the country where you can legally be fired for being queer. We need to just go live the life we choose and disregard everyone who thinks differently. Stop wasting time hating. Live. Who doesn't dislike all the bullshit that gets tossed around politically? I think the president, the courts, and Congress should just keep their dirty hands out of people's lives. They should govern the country, negotiate trade deals, make and enforce laws to protect everyone equally. Should the government have the ability to decide how we treat our bodies, and that includes everything from big gulps in NYC, to marijuana, to abortion, to sexual orientation, marriage, and gender? Fuck no. No in the loudest, most enthusiastic way I can possibly express it. No, it is not their job, and I take every opportunity to tell my representatives just that. Except you don't seem to want to tell them that with, your vote. I make my voice heard when those issues arise. I wrote all my representatives aggressively against FOSTA SESTA. So how can I still like Trump as the leader of our country with a capital C? Well, I do it the same way I tolerated Obama while his policies destroyed our country. I know that no person is perfect, and I take the good with the bad. I accept the things I cannot change. I work to change the things I can, and continually seek the wisdom to know the difference. And I try to do it in a civil, rational, intelligent manner. Mailing bombs and all other violent forms of protest is fucking wrong. Doing those things, even shouting people down in restaurants, is preventing them from pursuing their happiness and is wrong. And we are all entitled to like what we like, to be who we are without judgment and hate. Wow, that sounds a lot like a white person. It sounds like a lot like a white straight guy. I do like how Trump is running our country. I like the fact that he has made the engine run again after being stalled for a decade. Really? Because the longest government shutdown in recent history happened under him. Okay, it's fine. Trump supporters don't like facts. It's cool. This one's in italics and underlined. That's what I like, not the man. Sincerely, an avid listener, LB. So, I won't read my entire response to this guy because I don't want to. I know many of you have already been scrubbing forward and hitting that forward 15-second button until you stop hearing me talk about Donald Trump. But I will say, LB, there exists a man or woman who can do what you like about President Trump without retweeting anti-Semitic groups, white nationalist groups, conspiracy theories, and doesn't try to ban trans people from the military, then attempts to gaslight America by saying it's not a ban. We saw your tweet. You said ban. All right. And again, I'm not saying you have to vote for a Democrat. And I'm not even saying you can't vote Republican. I'm just saying you can't say I care about queer people and I vote Republican. Unless that Republican is saying I condemn my party's official platform, which is available on their .gov website when it comes to LGBT rights and a woman's autonomy over her body. Stop it. Fucking stop it. I will be briefly fair to this gentleman. I will be briefly fair because I did tell him, now go give me money on Patreon because such an economy-minded person such as yourself would agree that people should be paid for the work that they do, and I work really fucking hard, and you've gotten to enjoy this show, so give me some dollars or don't talk to me about the economy. And to his credit, he did go donate $100. So, that doesn't mean I like him. I'm just saying he's vaguely attempting to be consistent despite having, very little facts to stand upon. It's a good time to go, donate to Planned Parenthood or to the ACLU or to my Patreon. Though I think the ACLU and Planned Parenthood are way nobler causes. All right. You want to send me an email with your comments, your questions, your Trumpy opinions? You can send that on over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. Geez, okay, let's just have a happier shift. Let's move on over to the fan whore appreciation moment. All right. This is the part of the podcast where I like to thank some of the members of my fan whore community on Patreon. I want to give a shout out to James Riley, who, I can't find much about you. I have this weird feeling you're a nice guy. Men named James. There's just something about that name, James. I trust you. I would give you a loan if you just knocked on my door and said, hey, man, my car broke down. I need an extra $200. I'd be like, what's your name? You'd say James. I'd be like, here's $3. I hope you get home okay. Thanks for your support, dude. Shout out to Brian Hawthorne, who bumped up his pledge a mere weeks after joining the crew. So shout out to Brian Hawthorne. Thanks, buddy. And Dave Shar, as I start to play a tiny violin. So sorry to see you go. But hey, boy, hey, I love to see you walk away. That's what I would say if I like boy butt. Okay. Thank you, Dave, for your generous, albeit brief support. And you too can become a member of our awesome sex positive fan whore community for as little as $2 a month. Actually, right now we're running a special offer, and you only have 1 week left to cash in on this. I'm giving away these really fun bumper stickers that say, honk if you're into consent. I'm giving those out to all my $2 and up patrons who are members as of May 1st. So make sure you're pledged by next Wednesday so you can get this really fun bumper sticker. Join up right now by visiting patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. All right, our guest this week. Oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you who's on this week. I've gone Carolyn Bergier. Yes, she's a fellow stand-up comedian and podcaster. She hosts a great show called Dyking Out. It's really fun, and I'm going to share her with you in a minute. But first, I got to tell you about hotmovies.com. You knew I had to. Something that blows me away about hotmovies.com is not just its affordability and convenience with access to hundreds of thousands of videos, but it's just their wide array of content. They've got so much awesome stuff. Because they've got all these studios that you know and love. They got Evil Angel, right? They got Brazzers, right? But they also got fun, awesome queer indie porn. We got Crash Pad series. You know me. I love Crash Pad series is my favorite porn I didn't know I would like. It's a little bit more queer indie feminist porn. They got people of all different genders and sexual orientations and tattoos. And hotmovies.com is going to give you 20 extra minutes for free on the house when you use promo code MANWHORE when you sign up. And hey, you don't even have to put any money down when you sign up. You can sign up for their free trial and get 40 free minutes with promo code MANWHORE. Again, hotmovies.com, promo code MANWHORE. Now that we just talked about queer porn, time to talk about just queerness in general. Let's go dyke out with Carolyn Bergier.
Like, it's more than just men. Like, it's everyone, everybody kind of sucks in their own way.
Sure.
Yeah.
I did like the, I forget if it was you or your guest was saying, like, I just don't like men as like a gender, but like individual ones can be okay.
Yeah. That's how I think we both feel on the podcast. And there's been a little bit of pushback about, you're too hard on men, but I think we make it very clear that like we both have men in our lives who are very important to us and that we're good friends with. And it's not like I, want to throw every man I meet in a fire or anything like, like I can get along with men, but in theory as a whole, men as a gender have been pretty destructive, and I'm not going to pretend that they're not. And I think that they can take a couple shots.
Could take a few shots.
A few shots.
When you get that pushback, is it from women or men?
It's from women. I mean,
like
I've had
women like trying to defend their husband or their brother or something.
Not as much that, but more from people who like the podcast, and they say, I think more people would listen if you laid off of men a little bit. Like, I think men could benefit from listening to podcasts, but then the men I know who listen, like straight cis men, and I'll ask them, like, does that make it sound? And they're like, no, but we know you, so maybe it's hard for us to like think that you're being like very mean or unfair because we know how you feel about like us as humans, and we never feel like any animosity right off the bat for like just being men,
you know? I was thinking this morning, I was like, oh, what's it like to just alienate like half of like the population right off the bat?
Yeah.
But also like, I'm surprised you have dudes who listen to the show, not because of the way y'all feel about like what you said or anything like that. Just more like, I'm curious about the guy who listens to a show called Dyking Out.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I'm curious beyond the people I know who are just like men in my life who I'm friends with who listen. And I get why they're listening. They're being supportive. We don't really hear from men who we don't know who listen. And I don't know if they exist. But the thing is, like, I've listened to heteronormative media my entire life with things that I just do not relate to. And I've enjoyed it. So I'm like, men can listen to this. I think it's interesting. And one of my friends who listens, he's a cop in Buffalo. And he said, you know, it just opened my eyes to so many things I've never thought about before. And just the way that we are viewed by this segment of the population. And it's very eye-opening. It gives me a lot to think about. And yeah, there are things I disagree with and things that I think, hey, not so fast. But all in all, it's like very entertaining and informative. So I don't know.
Well, this is a good time to say I'm staying with fellow stand-up comedian Carolyn Bergier.
Yes.
Wait,
you did it.
All right. Co-host of the Dyking Out podcast. And if you can't tell by the title, very gay.
Very gay. But we do say it's an LGBTQ podcast for everybody.
Well, you know, do you feel like it's interesting because I know I get people who initially were like, I didn't know if I wanted to check out the podcast, something called Man Whore. I didn't think that would be a line up with my values, blah, blah. Then I listened and that was great. And do you ever get similar feedback where it's just like, ooh, like I didn't know if Dyking Out would be for me, but like it's actually great and fun.
I think
like branding, marketing wise.
Yeah. So one fun thing is I think straight people get a little bit put off by it at first because one, they don't know if they're allowed to say the word dyke. So, you know, I'd have coworkers be like, oh, you have a podcast. What's it called? And I'd say Dyking Out. And they're like, oh, I'll listen sometime. I'm like, no, you won't. But, you know, they would never say it back. And then they would tell people, oh, Carolyn has a podcast. What's it called again? I'm like, I know you know the name of it. You just don't want to
staying out.
Yeah. But in terms of the community, I think the people who are the most like worried going into it are trans women who have been excluded by many lesbians, or the term that we use is TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists. They hate that name, so I'm going to keep using it. And they just don't see trans women as women. They don't think that trans women should be able to call themselves lesbians when it couldn't affect their life in the least. It's a weird thing to take a problem or have a problem with. They employ a lot of tactics that like, just like the worst trolls of Reddit, like, you know, just finding like anything to validate like the worst in people and then making it seem like it's just like trans women are just like men in women's clothing hiding in bushes, like waiting to trick lesbians into sex with them. And that's not the reality at all.
Take your average red pillar, give them a vulva, and boom, you got a TERF.
Yeah, basically. Subaru. Yeah. Subaru is the car of choice.
Yeah. Oh, the car of choice. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have gotten emails from trans women saying, before I even listen to your podcast, I want to know, how do you feel about trans women who identify as lesbians? You know,
that's a valid question. Yeah, for sure. And I assume it's in the affirmative.
Yeah. It's in, you know, again, it doesn't make me any less of a lesbian if a trans woman identifies as a lesbian. You know, the problem that TERFs have is they say it's like same sex attraction, not same gender attraction, but the words have shifted meaning so much like over the time. And if you're a trans woman and you feel like lesbian speaks to you most, like go for it. Yeah. Be a lesbian. Great.
I used to be really obsessed with definitions, still a little bit. You know, I want words to mean things. Sure. But I'm starting to really just accept that, like, you know what? For a while, nothing's going to mean anything anymore. What does it matter? And when people ask me, I'm even a bit confused. And like, I don't know, I guess boy stuff for now until I figure that one out. So it's, You know, it is a confusing thing. And I have these debates too. And having a podcast called Dyking Out really forced me to kind of question and examine things that I didn't have to think about as a cis woman who has been out and gay since I was 17. And you know, sometimes I'm like, wait, but like, do we lose the definition of what a lesbian is? But like, does that matter? I don't have the answers, but I know, like, me personally, you know,
I kind of don't care because it doesn't affect me, which maybe is a shitty attitude. I don't know.
Well, and one of the episodes I was listening to was y'all talked a little bit about the bisexuals.
Yes.
And so I was sensing a little bit of similar feeling, but not caring ultimately how someone identified or whatever.
Yeah, so it's interesting with bisexual women because sometimes, like, I know some bisexual women.
Everyone, put your swords down. Let her speak.
Yeah,
I can sense you tightening
we are. I know we are a pro bisexual podcast. We have a lot of bisexual women on the podcast. Early on, I did get an email with like pull quotes about all the problematic things I've said about bisexuals in jest. My wife used to be married to a man, so I'm obviously not like anti anything like that. But in terms of bisexuals, so I know bisexuals who will, call themselves lesbians sometimes, and then they'll be dating a guy, and then guys are like, oh, okay, I guess lesbians also date men, and I'm like, okay, no, now you're confusing everybody. Like, it's fine to just be bisexual. If you're bisexual, just use that label. I don't understand why you're using the label lesbian when you legit, like, regularly date people of the opposite sex or gender.
Well, some people have explained to me about their experiences was like sometimes they just want to try on a label. Like I've tried on, and this is like maybe tangential, but not. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's the same thing, but similar. But like with like the term like poly, like with polyamory, like I feel like that might be it for me. I've tried it on. It still hasn't felt comfortable. Partially because I haven't had multiple romantic relationships at the same time. Yeah. So I'm way more comfortable saying I'm non-monogamous. Yeah. But I try on poly from time to time. I tried to see if that fits me. And I've heard other people say they've tried on labels. Like they didn't know if they wanted to use bisexual or pansexual or queer. And they were like, let's just try it on and see how it feels.
And I think that is a reason why we shouldn't judge people the way I just judge some people who use the term lesbian. No, I mean, I can kind of tell when somebody is just saying lesbian because it sounds better for the joke or whatever, and you're really bisexual, but lesbian's a funnier punchline. I'm not sure. But it is true that now with like the way we identify ourselves, that people will come out as 4 different identities. I've met people who came out as gay and then they came out as trans, which, that's different because that's not like a sexuality trans, but they came out as trans, but then that did kind of affect their sexuality because they're like, okay, well now I'm like bisexual or and then they realized that they were asexual, so they've gone through all the different labels.
And are they announcing this all at the same time? Because obviously, I mean, as we all learned as children, you space out these announcements. We all know it's bad to have a birthday around Christmas.
Yeah, you gotta space them out.
You can get extra checks in the mail.
Yep.
If you have separate coming out.
I know. You get more likes on your statuses if you come out and space it out.
You may think 4 comings out in one post, I'll get 4 times the likes. Now you're going to get the same number of likes. Yep. Span them out, you can get 4 big old ones. So.
You're on to us.
I'm trying. Well, I don't know. Like I'm always not sure what the fuck's going on in my head. So and I do sometimes think like, what if I tried on this one? I'd be like, that would make people upset. So I'm just going to, do the math first. Before I get there.
It's so hard for me to judge because I came out at such a young age, and I guess there's a kind of privilege in that it didn't take me too long to figure out what was going on. I mean, it did in that, I went through like puberty and adolescence feeling like I had to find boys to have crushes on to fit in and didn't understand what the big deal was, like couldn't relate to any of my friends who were going guy crazy and just felt like a total outcast. And then once I realized that I was attracted to women, like everything kind of clicked. And for like a hot second, I identified as bisexual because it's a very common thing. Most gay people, when they first realize they're attracted to the same sex, they think, oh, I must be bisexual then, because you've been faking being attracted to, or like performing being attracted to the opposite sex for so long. And then I had my first girlfriend. I was like, oh, I'm a lesbian. Like, clearly, I'm a lesbian.
Who was your first celebrity crush? I don't want to be like Mark Maron and be like, who you guys? But like, who was the first?
First celebrity? I mean, there were definitely some people that like triggered weird feelings in me, but in different ways. But Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman, for sure.
Okay.
And then Madonna, and Madonna was a weird one because I was obsessed with her kind of as a whole, but when like I started going through puberty and whatnot, I would fantasize about like me being a man so that I could have sex with Madonna, which is like another common thing that I don't know about gay men, but like queer women will fantasize about like being a guy because you think like that's the only way that you can fuck a woman.
This is like high school, adolescence?
Yeah.
Wait, so when you're imagining, like, are you just
like you're fantasizing
Sure.
and you're like, oh, I'm picturing myself as like this man, and then I would want to have sex with Madonna in a hetero way because like
Sure.
I can't, me as a person, as a woman, have sex with Madonna, even though she kind of swang a little bit. But,
right. I mean, I like to think that you were like, oh, I gotta imagine I'm this guy, but then she makes out with Britney, and you're like, now I can just be Britney.
Oh, I like dropped the phone when that happened, man.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel like no matter your orientation, worldwide, everyone masturbate a little bit to that video.
Yeah.
But wait, so that's I've never heard about that before. About like
Yeah.
imagining you were a different gender or person. So were these actual men that you knew you're imagining yourself to be, or are you just like, I'm a man, and something in your subconscious was created so you could fuck Madonna?
Yeah, it's like more focused on like Madonna than like who is this persona I've taken on and like whatever fantasy I'm having. But like men, like even in dreams I have, they're often this is terrible. They're like faceless, like
Faceless men?
Yeah, like they don't really.
You have no name.
Yeah.
That's fun. I am enjoying just the variety of queer on Game of Thrones. Oh gosh, that was so fun. And then just think about like all the college essays being written about like, you know, a girl has no name and the faceless god and what that secretly represents. Like I just can't imagine how many 19-year-olds are writing like 10-page papers over analyzing that.
The queerness on Game of Thrones, I hate it.
You don't?
From a women's perspective. So you have like, I just watched all of Game of Thrones this year.
So proud of you.
Yeah. I tried, this is a big point of contention between me and my co-host because I do think it's a terrible show, but I do watch it to be like within the realm of pop culture and like understand the references and everything. Mm-hmm. There are some good points to it. But in terms of queer women, a lot of it is just prostitutes at first.
Okay.
Right? That's the only like lady on lady action. And then you have Theon's sister.
Yeah.
And she's just like the worst kind. Like she just acts like a man and is like slapping titties and like you know, going to the port and having women just like treating them like a piece of meat. I'm like, that's not how.
So you're just like, she's got toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's full of toxic masculinity. And
she's
then
like all the reasons I think she's so hot. Because I just love a leading lady. Like if only she would. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't like Yara.
No, I don't like Yara. I mean, you know, I'm rooting for her to have a change of. I think she just needs a good role model. But
I would love to see her and Daenerys. Like, wouldn't that be the pairing? No?
You know, they were teasing it, but then who's the other one from
Dorne?
Yeah, from Dorne. So when that was going to happen, I'm like, all right, this Dornish lady's going to teach her how to be like a proper queer woman, and then like got pulled apart.
Right, because she's the proper
soon.
one,
Yeah.
murdering children.
Yes.
Are there any other queer women on that show besides the prostitutes, Dornish lady, and Yara?
I
think
mean,
so.
Arya, but she's
not out
you
yet.
know,
She
yeah.
hasn't figured it out.
Yeah.
She still thinks her and Gendry are a
And
thing.
you know what? Yeah. She also may be asexual. We don't know. I'm not gonna project onto Arya.
Okay, fair. A lot of queer dudes on the show.
Lot
I feel
of
like
queer dudes,
that's
yeah.
very popular.
Yes. Yeah.
And full on dong.
Yeah.
I was very shocked by that.
I think HBO was listening to the outcry of women being like, you never show any dick on your shows. My other problem with Game of Thrones too, if we're going to go to genitals, is that like, where are the pubes? right? Like this is like what time period is this that these women are like getting waxed, or I don't know, there should be more pubes in the show.
Do you use wax?
Me?
Are you a waxer?
No,
you
no.
shaver?
No.
No?
Trimmer. That's
Damn.
it.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
hoping for waxing advice.
Yeah.
I'm considering switching.
Yeah.
Because apparently, like, I would shave, and that has caused all sorts of problems. And everyone keeps yelling at me on the internet, but no one gives me a good. Yeah, someone's like, "Oh, try." My roommate, you met, I thought he uses Nair, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll try Nair." And then it was like, "Don't put that near your junk."
Oh no, you're not supposed to.
I don't fucking know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just want to look presentable.
Yeah.
So you referenced earlier that like doing the show that earlier on in it you've had certain views like challenged and whatnot. Like, has there been anything you've maybe you've like kind of changed on, or you've if we're using Obama language, evolved on an issue?
Sure. I mean, I think in terms of bisexual women or pansexual women who end up, let's say, married to somebody of the opposite gender,
Okay.
there was definitely a time where I thought, okay, you're, going around talking about how you're like part of this community and you're gay, but you benefit from straight privilege and a heteronormative lifestyle. So like, there's no real struggle for you there. And why do you get to be like in the party and like this atmosphere we created? But that's not a good opinion to have. Because
why isn't it? I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, when you're bisexual, your sexuality, it's not like you're a lesbian when you're with a woman and you're straight when you're with a man. You are just constantly bisexual. So being married to a man doesn't make you any less bisexual, even though you may, you're still like attracted to women, but you don't act on that, or maybe you do, depending on what kind of relationship you have with your partner. But it doesn't make you any less queer, and they're like queer erasure or bi erasure is a real thing. And another thing too, like going with bi erasure, is that sometimes I'll be like, oh, I feel so bad for straight women, like poor straight women, all the crap that they deal with. Like, it must be horrifying to date as a straight woman, not knowing like, is this guy gonna murder you? I don't know. That's like nothing, like I've never had to consider that before going on a date with a woman, right? But it's not just straight women who date men. It's bisexual women too. And by talking about straight women that way, I'm again erasing like what is the dating life of a bisexual woman and not considering that. So it's just like being a little bit more considerate when you make these kind of like broad statements. And then also, yeah, married bisexual women are still bisexual.
So how have you like morphed your language a little bit? Because obviously, like, there are like we could always just speak in the most inclusive ways possible, but we would start having 50-word sentences. So how have you figured out how to casually incorporate this into your daily speech?
I think you just really got to do your best. We try to do our best and to be mindful. There are times, like I've been called out several times for calling myself a gold star lesbian. So a gold star lesbian is one who's never had sex with a man before. And my co-host and I are both gold star lesbians. And people have written in saying that like shames bisexual women or women who have come out later in life because you're saying you're better than them because a gold star is a positive thing. I'm like, dude, you are reading way too, like that is
We're having fun here.
Yeah.
We're having fun.
It's a comedy podcast. It's a quick way for me to like signal to everybody that like, yep, this is my background, FYI. It's just like a fun fact is that I'm a gold star lesbian, and then you like really shouldn't take it personally because I'm not using it, even though like we do make comments about like how happy we are that we have not had sex with men. I
mean, I don't blame you.
Yeah. I mean,
the way it's been described to me, having sex with me, I'm just like, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That sounds terrible. That sounds way less fun.
To each their own. For some, I know some people who love it. I know some ladies who really
who want to love it,
or who have been fortunate enough to find people that they love having sex with in terms of men. But, you know, overall, the reviews, you know, if it was a Yelp review, I wouldn't eat at that restaurant.
Yeah. It's too middling. You can't,
Yeah.
like, yes, like 3 is not supposed to be bad, but we all know 3 is probably bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So you're second married,
Yes. Yes.
as I like to call it.
Second married. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My dad didn't last through second married, but
No.
yeah. Wait, so now you well, I thought it was interesting. You moved to New York
Yep.
to get married legally at the time, right? Or
Well, so we got married legally in Massachusetts, but we were living in Georgia. We moved to New York to have it recognized because in Georgia, it still wasn't recognized at the time,
Sure.
but in New York State, it was.
but
So
then
we're
you
like-
got here, and there was
and then we
like
got divorced.
Actually, yeah, no.
Yeah, it really brought out the differences in our personalities. I would say New York was like the beginning of the end of our relationship.
Like the city itself.
Yeah, I think living here really just brought out different sides of us, and they were not compatible.
Well, like such as what?
So I started doing comedy after I moved to New York, and my ex-wife, I don't say this to be mean, she's very lazy, like an extremely lazy human. And when you live
I
in
don't
New
mean
York,
to like shit on my ex-wife, but she just sucks.
like
No.
some people, maybe some people think lazy is a positive, you know, some people might rather be with a lazy person. Maybe they might find like my need to be doing things neurotic. I don't know. She certainly hated it. And
What type of things? Like she hated that you wanted to go out, or was it that you just cleaned too much?
yeah, probably both. No, that I just wanted to like go to shows and like take advantage of things in New York. And I felt like, you know, I'd leave a comedy show or leave a mic and I'd have to run like straight home. She hated the fact that I did comedy.
What'd she do for her work? Or you can vaguely describe.
Yeah, when she was employed, she was an engineer.
And so she wasn't like she wasn't like pursuing a dream, maybe?
No.
Do you find, does the current wife pursue, like, is like doing the thing that she loves to do or something?
Yes, so I think that helps that my wife now, outside of her day job, is an artist. So she makes art. So she understands my need to create and to write and to perform comedy. And she like loved that I did comedy and still comes to my shows like whenever she is free or has time to. She'll still come and see me and support me. And like, you know, I record my sets and I hear her laughing and she's still, you know, so it's great. I'm like, that's a better pairing than somebody who is like, nobody wants to be married to a comedian.
And-
Literally said that to me. Also unfollowed me on Twitter while we were married.
What?
Yep. And I didn't realize it for like months.
Well, then what does it say about you? You're not checking her feed either.
Well, no. So I mean, I was following her, but I guess I wasn't like clicking on her thing. And
Sure.
one day I was going to make a tweet about how whenever I notice that I get unfollowed, like when I had less followers that I could keep track. And then I always check to make sure it's not my wife. And that was just a joke I was going to tweet. And then when I went to her thing, I was like, oh my God, she doesn't follow me. When did this happen? And like, it felt so weird getting in a fight about whether or not she followed me on Twitter. But
Yeah.
I'm like, this is kind of psychotic. Like,
But your present wife, like that, isn't that like a sexy thing that she's driven and passionate about something?
yes.
Like laziness is such a turnoff, and I don't.
For me, it was. Yeah.
I honestly don't know who finds laziness. You're trying so hard to make it
Maybe
not a
another
negative.
lazy person.
I know 0 people who are like, "Oh, do I need another lazy person?"
I know. I can't sugarcoat it though and say like, no, she wasn't that. Like, she was really lazy. Like, she just didn't want to. She just wanted to like sit around and watch TV all the time. I'm like, why do we live in New York then?
We can do that. We can sit around and watch TV all the time. So much cheaper in so much other parts of the country.
Yeah.
We could go to Jersey and live cheaper and just sit around watching Netflix.
Yeah.
But passion, I find to be such a that I had like about a 2-year relationship that went downhill, and I was always a little turned off by her not knowing where she was. So it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily a lack of drive. It was just a not knowing what she wanted to do. And I was just like, I don't know, it's just it's unattractive when someone's not really into whatever it is they're doing. It's like, I don't care
Yeah.
what you're doing. I just want you to be really into it because I'm super into what I'm doing. And I want you to have something like that. And it also allows me to not be like, need to be your everything because you have something else
Yes.
that can be.
Yeah, and I think I've always been a little bit like that. Like, I remember when I was in college and I was hooking up with this girl, and for the first time, and I'm like a serial monogamous, like usually everybody that I start seeing immediately, I'm like, well, all right, we're dating now. Like, we're exclusive.
Are you the U-Haul type?
I try not to be, but
I'm just throwing out any terminology I've learned from Cubbyhole.
right.
Which I loved when y'all brought up. I think the first episode I listened to, you brought up like, and then there's old butches who just sit at the bar, and I'm like, I know who they are.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, I agree. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, Cubbyhole
My second
is,
favorite bar in all of
it
New
is
York.
intense. Oh man. But yeah, it's like this one woman that I was hooking up with, like, casually, and we would hang out, but for some reason I like never wanted to like seriously date her, even though she was cute and I liked hooking up with her and I liked spending time with her. And I think it was just because she seemed really aimless in life. Like, she came from a pretty privileged family. She had her own like really nice apartment in Boston. But she maybe had dropped out of college to work and was just like working at Starbucks. And like, I love Starbucks and nothing against like Starbucks baristas, but it was like, that wasn't like, coffee wasn't her passion. If coffee was her passion, I'd be like, all right, like, let's
and by
do
the
it,
way,
Starbucks.
I have a partner who coffee is her passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a coffee scientist.
Great.
She loves her coffee. That's great. But if you're just showing up and punching in, punching out,
Yeah.
you better have something outside of it. Like, it's
Yeah.
fine if she's doing Starbucks a day and she was like doing poetry at night or something, right?
Yeah, no, she was just getting high at night, which again, that's fine. But it just wasn't like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like compelling, like a compelling person to be with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So does your wife now does she do like art shows and you go to her things?
She doesn't do art shows. Well, she's done, there is like this, I forget what it's called in New York, where it's like a art competition that they have at Le Poisson Rouge, and you like, it's like a circle and then all these artists, and you get so much time to paint, and then people vote on the best paintings and then they auction them off. Like, so I went to that. That was fun. Okay. But like, I support her art in other ways. Just, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first marriage, like, part of the issue was just she hated you do comedy.
Yeah.
She was lazy, but not lazy in some nicer word that means lazy. What else was like kind of the difference? And also, why weren't these differences shining through like in Georgia?
So I guess in Georgia, it's like very easy to live there. It's like, you have your car and everything. You just drive places, and your apartment is big and it has a laundry machine in it. It's like the fact that we had to go outside the building to do laundry. And she was like unemployed for a while, and she would just like never do the laundry. And I'm like, okay, but I'm making all the money, and I'm also trying to like transition my career and do all this comedy stuff and whatever. Like, can you help out a little bit?
Something.
And yeah, but just like, New York, it's a hard place to live. Like, everything feels like the city's working against you to try to accomplish what you're trying to get done, right? Like, even if it's like fill a prescription, sometimes like that's not even straightforward. So I think that kind of stuff made her a little bit depressed and made her want to kind of like retreat into her depression more. And then she was having a hard time finding a job when she moved, because a lot of the engineering jobs are like outside the city. They're not really right in New York. So that was tough too. And then, yeah, I mean, I felt like she maybe was resenting me a little bit for coming here, and then feeling like I was hitting my stride maybe. And, I felt like I was maybe half asleep when I was living in Georgia, and then I came to New York. I'm like, oh no, this is how I want to live my life. And doing all these things and stuff. And then she was like, who is this person? Because when we got married, I was actually in a PhD program. I was going to be a marketing professor. She thought she was marrying into this like sweet life where I'd be this tenured professor, you know, making a lot of money at a business school and having summers off and that kind of stuff.
And you were like how old when y'all got married?
26.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were married for 5 years, and then she's the one who left me. Yeah.
So what I'll ask the other thing I have in my after this, but what was that like? What was that? What did she come up with?
Yeah.
You're not lazy enough for me?
You know, it was that she just didn't like being married to me. And
Is that how it was phrased?
no, she didn't make it personal. She said that she just doesn't want to be with anybody. But like I knew it was me. Like obviously it wasn't like you know, because I don't know how long after, but she got into a relationship with someone else, which was fine. Like, so did I. But she developed a crush on a friend of hers, and I could tell that she was into this person. And I was kind of like, you know, whatever, it happens. But then her behavior, it was very much like an emotional affair. I'm like, okay, you gotta be shitting me, because I put up with so much in this relationship for you to be like somewhat disrespectful and like kind of gaslighting me on it, because I'd be like, do you love this person? She'd be like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. But it was like, you know, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, texting this other woman, like going to her place.
And she would tell you about this? Like, was this like a common fight or something?
It became a common fight. Yeah. And I was someone who like never had been jealous. Like, you know, I don't get jealous easily. But then when it started being like super obvious that my wife was in love with someone else and like spending time with her instead of me, and then I called it out, and it led to some fights, and then she was like, well, this isn't worth it for me. So
Wow.
yeah.
Did you ever think about ending the marriage yourself at some point?
In theory, but when I commit to something, you know, I was like, hey, this is the choice I made. I made this promise, and I can't walk back on it. So even though I'm not happy in this marriage, because I'm married to somebody who like doesn't support me, who I can't rely on for anything, who I feel like doesn't even like being married to me, like I can't be the one who backs out, you know?
So then was part of you, when she's like, hey, I want a divorce, was part of you relieved?
I think so, but at the time I couldn't admit that to myself. Like when it was happening, I thought like the world was ending, because I was like, I put so much into this relationship, and this is my like whole life, and your family is my family. Like all her family lives in New York, and I was very, very close to them. So to lose all of that in like, you know, one fell swoop was rough. Yeah.
But you said you didn't want to admit it to that you were maybe slowly relieved? Because I just wonder if like the feeling could be I don't want to admit that I'm relieved, because that would be like rooting for a bad thing, quote unquote. In a similar way, like if someone dies who like will likely leave you a lot of money, you don't want to think, not even oh good, but you don't even want to think about that, even though it's possibly a subconscious thought. You can't think that, otherwise you're a bad person. So you have to be like sad about this sad thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I also think, and I'm far enough from it to admit this, that I, for once, like, was basking in being the victim. Because I don't feel like the victim of much in life. So, like, this first time I was like, how dare she? And was just like, everybody feels sorry for me. My wife, my lazy wife, who I, you know, carried on my back all these years.
Lazy, unemployed wife.
Yeah. Just left me, like, please everybody feel bad for me, like talk to me, hang out with me, whatever. And was just like in that place for maybe like a month or so.
That's it?
Yeah.
Because you were together, I'm assuming, longer than 5 years. You were married for 5.
Yeah.
Just a month or so, and you're good?
I would say it was a month.
I was together with someone for 2 years, and it took months for me to, I mean, at least a few months to start getting over.
Right. So, yeah, I was very much like something happens, I think, when you feel someone is slipping away from you, where all of a sudden you're like more attracted to them than you'd been in a while, or at least that's what happened to me. So when I felt like she was in love with this other person, like all of a sudden, like my sex drive like returned out of nowhere, you know, and
I'll show you.
yeah, I was like I couldn't get enough of her, and like wanted to like really step it up as a wife, you know, because I thought like maybe I'm not doing enough. And so then like the fact that she left me when I'm at this like weird point mentally, and you're like fighting, you're like, what's going on? And I felt like she was gaslighting me. So like my emotions were all over the place. And when she did move out, I mean, that's like the hardest I cried in my life. There were nights where I thought I was going to stop breathing. I was crying so hard. I would like break down in tears at work. I would call my mom and my sister in like the middle of the night, just like dry heaving. It was crazy. It was so crazy, like feeling that much pain. I'd never felt that from a relationship being ended before. And, well, I guess because my last one before that I ended, but, and it was like that for, yeah, like almost 2 months. And then one day I just felt like this weight lifted off my shoulders, and I'm like, oh my God. That wasn't a good marriage. And I'm like so much better for this. And like yeah, it took her a while to leave me, but for a while I think she didn't want to be married to me and just didn't know how to articulate that.
Well, it seems like you got over it fairly well, because you said you got into a new relationship quickly. Was it with
my
present wife?
Yeah.
Well, then there you go. Look at that.
Yeah, it worked out faster than I was like, I'm not going to date anybody for a while. I want to like take a year off of dating. Like the thought of even having to like be with somebody physically was like the last thing I wanted. I was like, ugh, to get like naked with someone new, like forget about it. Like I'm not going to be close to there. And then my wife, I thought that she was just going to be a rebound. And it was, again, like I was making like some, small impulsive decisions, dyeing my hair, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'll have this secret relationship with my coworker, and it'll be this sexy rebound. And yeah. And she also was getting out of a marriage at the time.
With a man, right?
No. Oh. So this is her third marriage.
Whoa! I mean, look, I'm rooting for y'all because I took a look at Insta. Super cute, but that percentage goes down.
Yeah,
and down.
I know.
I want y'all to be the 27% or whatever.
It takes too long to explain, but it's like neither time did she get married for the right reason. Okay. And this was like she always says that this is her first like real marriage where like she felt like she did it because she loved somebody that she wanted to like start a family with and spend the rest of her life with. So she was married to a man, and then she was married to another woman for like less than a year, and broke it off with her. And then we started hooking up, and I thought it was, again, just like a rebound in this like sexy office fling, which it was. It was amazing. And then, yeah, now we're married.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, now, so you started diking out like a year and a half or so ago, 2 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years ago in the fall. So yeah, I guess a year and a half.
Okay. So now, but you were already with the wife. So something with me when I'm dating is with the podcast, if I date someone seriously enough or after a period of time, at some point there's like the podcast talk. Like, what can go on? Like, can I say your name? Can I not say? Can I tag you in certain things?
Yeah.
When you started the podcast, did you have to have that talk with the wife? Like, what can I share? What can I not share? I mean, like, one of your only off limit thing for here had to do with like you and your wife. So it's like, what was that negotiation like? Like, hey, babe, gonna start a podcast. It's called Dyking Out. Feelings.
Maybe I should have had a conversation, but I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I think she just trusts me to know, what to say and what not to say.
What she would not want out there.
Yeah, and she's actually like an integral part of the podcast. So she does all of the artwork for the podcast. She does a lot of our social media.
I do like your album artwork.
Yeah. She makes like a new drawing each episode. She designs like promotional things.
So she's like on board.
She's on board. Yeah.
Okay.
She was the one. So Sarah and I had the idea for the podcast actually. We were getting drinks after my wife had left me, my ex-wife, and she was going through a breakup with a girlfriend she had been living with, who coincidentally went to high school with my ex-wife, but that's another thing.
Conspiracy.
Right. And we're like, we should make a podcast. Like, there's no funny, like, queer women podcast that we could think of at the time. And also, like, we sat on this idea for a year, and I swear the week we launched, like, 5 other, like, Cameron Esposito's Query came out, which is not like a comedic podcast though. Like, it's very serious actually. And then Inside the Closet with Emma Willman and Mateo Lane, which is funny, but like a different
those two
setup.
are just powerhouses.
Yeah, right. And then another one called like Les Hangout that's more focused on like queer fandom of like obscure lesbian TV type things.
Okay.
So we have like our space that we carved out and having guests on and stuff like that. But we sat on it for about a year, and Cecilia, my wife, was like, you keep saying you're going to do this podcast, but like, when are you guys going to start? You just need to like book a studio time and like buy the website URL and just go for it. And if Sarah's not ready to do it, like find somebody else. So I told Sarah, I'm like, are we going to do this or not? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, all right, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially like in the context of like you went from this super unsupportive wife to this one who's like basically shoving you into the deep end, be like, fucking swim and do your dumb podcast, okay?
Yeah.
Babe? Fucking do it or stop talking about it, okay?
Yeah. Honestly, like it's the extreme end of like, she's so supportive. Like there's no way she could possibly be more supportive. Like if she tried, like she's maxed out supportiveness of me and like my creative endeavors.
That's beautiful. I really like hearing that.
Yeah, you should really, if you're not feeling supported, get divorced and find someone who will.
Man, all I need to do is just like find someone to marry me, be unsupportive, so I could divorce her.
Yeah, and
so
then
I could
really
find the
appreciate.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It is weird. I've had my exes have actually been nothing but supportive of the podcast when we date.
Yeah.
But when we break up, oh my, could they not be more hateful of the existence of this show?
Yeah. Well, I bet, man, if I started this podcast years ago, I would have got divorced sooner, much sooner.
Really?
I think like that would be even like worse than improv for my ex-wife would have been if I had a podcast.
It's hard to be worse than improv, but that's
it is. I think podcasts might have done it though. It might have been like too self-indulgent for her. And yeah, I don't know if she listens or not, but I feel like she probably hates that I have a podcast because I say things like, oh, she was lazy, or what a terrible marriage. When
not for nothing, you tried so hard to be nice about the lazy.
I know.
It was really me who called it bad. You were trying to, spin it.
She's like a fine person, and like
You don't have to be so nice about your ex-wife.
I know. I feel like I'm like meaner about it than I should. Part of it is like a protection thing. Like, you can't like remember the good things about your marriage and your past relationship. So it's easier for me to just be like, what a terrible marriage, instead of like, oh, remember when I was part of that awesome family, So everything that I'll say in public is more negative than probably what the reality was of our marriage. Obviously, like I stayed in it.
Sure.
But then like, yeah, talking about, I know like another ex of mine listened to the podcast and then took issue with some things that I said.
Sure.
Yeah.
And and that is going to be a common thing, whether it's the stand up and they hear a joke on our HBO
Sure.
special that we're
Right.
we're gonna get.
Yeah. Any day now.
It's happening.
Yeah.
One day. But whether it's jokes from stand up or like a podcast or a book, it's always going to be a thing. And I wonder if part of it is, and I think this when my ex page, like this would come out in screenshots people would send me that she'd say, but the idea of this, she doesn't have a similar platform.
Yeah.
And so it almost feels like, well, I have this freedom to say whatever I want, and actual people will hear it.
It's very
and
unfair.
then she can say, but that's the, but I don't buy into it, because like you can start your own fucking thing, or you can blast your shit on Facebook for all your friends to see.
Yeah.
But there did seem to be like a discontent with the alleged power imbalance of like, I can share my pain and get support from strangers on the internet, and that like she couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think that's what makes people like us terrible today. I mean, is that you have to know that part of our like livelihood is making jokes and making art based on who we are and our life experiences. And, you know, a lot of times like very few things are off limit. And like my ex-wife, you know, again, married me thinking I was going to be a marketing professor, and, you know, she wouldn't appear in any of my research papers or anything like that. And then here I am like talking on podcasts about how lazy she may or may not have been.
Has your current wife has she ever taken issue to anything you've said on air, or have you ever had to cut something from an upcoming episode because she was like, you know, could you take that out? You said I farted that one time, and we all know ladies don't fart. So can you?
No, she's never asked me to take something out, but I remember I was editing in front of her once, and it was an episode, and I don't know if this actually made the podcast or I found a way to edit it. It was with Emma Willman, and she was, I know, it was a great podcast, and she was asking me about getting married to Cecilia in the timeline, and she was like, so you guys like met and you were like crazy about each other, and then like we're like, oh, we have to get married now, and I was like, well, no. And then that like, well, no. My wife just like stopped what she was doing and looked at me. I'm like, no. I'm like, you know what I mean? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, but wait, listen to the rest of the clip. Like, wait.
Emma Willman, by the way, tried to set me up with her gay roommate.
Okay.
Or her lesbian roommate.
Okay.
Because her roommate was like was curious about maybe starting to date dudes, and I was over at Emma's place like doing an episode like years ago.
Yeah.
And then we did a bonus episode like right there in the apartment.
Yeah.
And we had her roommate come over, and we just did like Ask a Straight Guy. So the two of them asked me like weird questions for like a half hour.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, like, or I think like a few days later or something, Emma like texted me something along the lines of like, I forget how it went down, but basically it was just like, hey, would you want to go on a date with the roommate? And I was like, yeah, she was really cute. And then we went out the day I found out like some really sad news. And so I just went on this super me being sad date with a lesbian trying to be into dick, and me not making any sales pitch. Like I have this opportunity to reintroduce her to the world of cock, and I was like, I just don't have it in me today.
Yeah.
I always thought that was...
Yeah.
I had to apologize after that. They'd be like, hey, look, I'm sorry. I'm not over my ex.
I can't imagine, like, that sounds like such a terrible idea to like, to set up. What a tall order to set up a lesbian with a guy. Like if she's like, oh, I'm curious about dating a guy. And then to like put that on somebody, you know, and be like, oh, be this guy, this like representation.
Well, she had already met me and like talked to me for a bit. So it was like, Billy. And, you know, Billy seems safe.
Yeah.
And that's also not the only time I've put off a lesbian who was like trying to be into a dude. I was at Stonewall once in college, and I made out with some lesbian, and in the middle of making out, she kind of just stopped abruptly.
Yeah.
And she shouted, I can't do this. And then she ran out of the bar.
Yeah,
like
that
left
happens.
her credit card, because I kept hanging out at the bar until they closed down, playing pool with my friend and whatnot. And then the bartender waved me over, was like, hey, can you sell up your friend's tab? I was like, ooh, no, like, I mean, we were making out, but I'm not paying for it. And he's like, no, I just need you to sign for a card. Like, she was so devastated by making out with a man. Her paradigm was shifting too much. She was like, I don't even need this debit card. And she needed the debit card because she was from California. It was day one. You need your debit card.
Yeah.
So I do a joke on stage where I'm just like, I'll describe that experience and go, so I don't turn girls gay, but I do keep them that way. I can affirm that for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've had that moment too when I was in college, and I would like make out with guys just because I didn't I don't know, it just seemed like the thing to do. Like, even though I was already out and gay and I had no intention of dating guys, but I would be out with my friends and there'd be like no queer women around, or at least that I could discern, because I'm in more...
No side shave haircuts.
Well, I like more like feminine looking women, or at least like at that time it was like exclusively feminine women. So unless I was at a gay bar, they're kind of hard to spot. And I would make out with guys, and one night I made out with just like multiple guys in one night, and then I went back to the dorm and I left this guy on the sidewalk and just like sprinted away and went back to the dorm. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, what have I been doing? Like, for what? Free drinks? Like, this is like not who I am. I think part of me thought it was funny at first, and then,
like in the way that straight girls will like almost performatively hook up with women at a bar because it's like fun. You were like hooking up with dudes at a bar because why not?
Well, here's the funny thing was that like as soon as I was like confidently out as a lesbian, I became like more confident as a person, because before that I didn't know like what was going on with me, because I just felt like I didn't fit in anywhere, and then felt like I didn't really desire men that much, or it felt forced, and then like they didn't desire me back because I'm putting out these vibes, and then when I was a lesbian I was like, okay, I'm like confident now because I know like I like women, I've been with these like beautiful women, so I have this like air of confidence when I go out, because I don't want these men, but now it's like in a different way than it was in the past. And I would tell these guys like, oh yeah, I'm gay, and then it's like a magnet. Like I was never like the cutest girl like out with my friends or anything like that. Like beautiful friends in college around me, and these men would like make it their mission to like see what's the deal with this self-proclaimed lesbian.
Yeah, they're
here.
like, I saw that movie with Ben Affleck. Come on, let's see what's up. My favorite movie, by the way. Literally my favorite film.
Not mine. Not mine.
As I've heard, but was what did win a GLAAD award.
Yeah. Oh, GLAAD. So misguided. But
it was 97. It was a different time.
I don't know. There's still, I feel like they give more awards to straight allies than they do to gay people. But maybe, I don't know.
Well, yeah, didn't they just give like Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Yeah,
that was the
highest honor. They got the highest honor at the GLAAD Awards, and I'm like, all right, but like,
and Jay-Z, who's only fucked like maybe 3 dudes, and they're giving him the big award, like, and that's
give it to Jay-Z's mom. She's a lesbian. Give the award, yeah.
And the other things when you do that, like especially when someone of that stature, is the headlines about the GLAAD Awards are about Beyonce and Jay-Z, and not about like any of the queer people who actually won or not were nominated for awards. Yeah, like I never see the like GLAAD Award snubs.
Yeah,
because they're too busy talking about the the allies or whatever who get a trophy.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, this was fun. I'm almost diking out with. I feel maybe.
Yeah, I think we're diking out a little bit.
Just a pinch.
Yeah.
This was fun. Where can people find you? Where can they find your show?
Well, we're definitely the only thing called Dyking Out on the internet, which I was shocked. I thought
it's such a great name.
Yeah, thank you.
It's shocking to not be taken.
It was the only option that was ever being considered. I was like, I have an idea for a podcast. I want to call it Dyking Out because I think that's really funny, and that like really sums up what the show feels like. So dykingout.com. I mean, Dyking Out on iTunes. You can subscribe there, which would be nice of you. And
fun fact, Dyking Out, no E in the Dyking.
Oh yes, no E in the Dyking.
I find that
yeah,
important. You'd be shocked how much people can't spell.
Yeah.
Really gotta lay it out for them.
I mean, it's probably never came up in elementary school on your spelling exam, so I get it. If you misspell Dyking Out, that's okay.
We need to get more inclusive with our spelling.
Yeah.
Please.
Maybe it means something different if you have the E in it. I don't.
So
I don't know.
Dyking,
But yeah,
Dyking
Dyking
out.
out. Social media, we're Dyking out everywhere. You can follow me personally at TGI Carolyn on Twitter and Instagram. And then we have a monthly show at Stonewall. That's Dyking Out at Stonewall. It's the last Monday of every month. And it's a very fun show. It's stand-up comedy. It's not like a live podcast recording, but I will plug June 23rd, we are having a live recording of Dyking Out at Caveat in New York City at 7 p.m. And our guest is going to be Rosie O'Donnell.
Shut the fuck up!
Yeah. So.
When I was a wee boy, when I was a wee lad in first grade, I was on the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Get the fuck out. Oh my God. What a dream.
Little Billy there.
Oh my gosh.
And based off of my IMDb research and this letter from an EP with a date on it, I estimate that this was the first episode of Rosie O'Donnell show.
That is incredible. Oh my God. That is amazing. Well, yeah.
I am so fucking jealous.
Unless her shooting schedule for a movie interferes, which, like, knock on wood that it doesn't, Rosie is slotted to be our guest and has agreed to dyke out with us, and I can't fucking wait.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
If I am not out of town, I have to be at that.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
You can find a link to the tickets for that in the show notes because that is worth making sure that's in the show notes. Everyone go check out Dyking Out. I'm having fun listening to it myself. And Carolyn, why don't you say goodbye to everybody?
By Manhorians. I don't know, what do you call them?
I haven't heard Manhorians, but I don't hate it. It sounds like the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It sounds
Game of Thrones-ish,
right?
right?
Game of Thrones-ish,
Yeah.
kind of a little sci-fi. We typically do fan whores.
Fan whores.
But someone recently brought up, and I kind of like it, whoreheads.
Whoreheads. All good options.
Whatever they want to call
However
themselves.
you identify, I'm not going to judge you. If there's anything you've learned from this, identify as a man-whore fan however you would like Manhorians.
Carolyn is so fun.
It was fun too. Thanks for having me, Billy.
The day after we recorded this, Carolyn, she messaged me on Facebook and was like, never thought I'd end the Man Whore podcast bonding over Rosie O'Donnell. And I'll be honest, I also did not think that would happen. But I'm so glad that it did. Yeah, so that was great. Go follow Carolyn on the socials. Check out her podcast, Dyking Out. But more importantly, tell me what you thought. What'd you think of this episode? You can hit me up on Twitter at @TheBillyPresida, or you can comment on this week's episode on the Man Whore Podcast Facebook page. Of course, I am newly back on Instagram at BillyIsPresida. Want to shoot me an email with your comments, your questions, your booby pictures, whatever's clever, send it on over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. Seriously, I love getting your emails, except for that Trumpy one. It's like my favorite part of the day is waking up and seeing emails in my inbox. I just want to emphasize real hardcore. You've got 1 week left to take advantage of this Patreon limited time only special offer. We're giving away these Honk If You're Into Consent bumper stickers to all of my $2 and up patrons as of May 1st. Go on over to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast, support the show, join the community, get a fun bumper sticker. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Next week, we've got another one of those AVN episodes. Okay, I've got on trans porn star Mia Isabella. But until next week, everybody, go dyke out at your local lesbian bar if your city still has one, and stay slutty.